Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I hope that you are doing super fantastic. I pretty much am. I've had a pinched nerve in my back, but the good news is it's getting better a lot sooner than it used to in the past, so that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, loved ones. So, in the past, I've asked a question of who are you, where are you, what are you, when are you, all of these things. And while it's like, well, what's that supposed to mean, Matt? Well, it's like it's no big secret that I believe that we do have a higher self, and that that would be our higher self that is jacked into this body, this avatar, whatever you want to call it, from outside, and is then living experiences through this aspect of your personality. But it's like that is not necessarily who you are, this aspect of your personality. It's who you are currently, I suppose. But who you truly are is on the outside of space and time, possibly, most likely. But it's like most people these days do have at least some feeling that they have lived other lifetimes before. And like, for example, if you had been a Chinese man in 15th century China, or if you have been an ancient Egyptian, those are two completely different people, many different personalities, different cultures, different belief systems, different everything. And it's like, yeah, I've been all of those things. But so it's we can't really say, well, that was me, because it wasn't. But I mean, I guess it was at the time. But it was really more just you living an experience as that. So it's like, and I recently saw a Joe Dispenza interview where he was talking about if we remove all like everything that we associate with this realm. For example, people, places, things. And then we can go even further and remove the five senses. So if we remove all of that, we just really focus on the void. If we really focus on not, disassociating with our five senses, what are they? Geez, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing. If we disassociate with those things and really do everything we can to block those out. But if you were to disassociate with those things, and then the people, places, and things that you are associated with, what are you left with? What are you at that point? You are just consciousness. You're just mind at that point. And that is your true self. And then you, of course, jack into these bodies during these times for the purpose of having an experience. Currently, I'm having an experience as Matt Stevens. But there may have been many times in the past where I was the ancient Egyptian or whatever. And all of those experiences were very different. And I can't say that ancient Egyptian is me. But then again, it's like, well, but you were living that life. So therefore, I can't say that this is me. But then again, I am living this life. I am having this experience as this person. And all of the things that I've lived through, all of the things that I've done. But who I truly am is on the outside. So getting back to what this Joe Dispenza interview, he was talking about if you can disassociate with those things, he says that's your doorway into the quantum realm. The quantum realm is where it's pure potentiality. I've referred to it as the void, but I've also said that that's a little misleading. Maybe I don't want to say misleading, but not exactly accurate. Because while it does appear to be a void, it's really just potentiality. That place that we would refer to as the void is like a quantum state. where everything is possible, but it has not yet materialized into anything. That state is crackling with energy, because all matter, all everything is created from energy. So that's what I mean when I refer to the void. It is more the quantum state where nothing is particularly manifested, but it has the potential to be. Kind of like what we learned with the double slit experiment. And I promise, dear loved one, I am not going to go down another double slit experiment rabbit hole. But we learned from the double slit experiment. It's like, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Don't judge me. Anyway, but do hit the like button. That'd be great if you do that, dear loved one. I would love that. And also subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. Yeah. So anyway, so the double slit experiment showed us that until something is observed, it stays in a state of quantum field. It's everywhere. It's nowhere. It's all things at one time until it is observed, at which point it must collapse, meaning decide to be something. So when we get off into that field, when we step away from ourselves, as I've often referred to, like when we go into meditation and we visualize just hovering above our body, just detaching from it just a little bit. And that way we can realize, well, all those thoughts going on inside that brain, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. That's just a brain doing what a brain's going to do. But the one thing that we can do is we can get conscious of ourself and realize, here's me and there's Matt Stevens. And Matt Stevens has thoughts going through that brain. Yep, there goes one now. But I'm not going to follow it. However, it does happen. We do follow the thoughts out sometimes. But if you're in that meditative state and you realize, oh man, I've just been following this thought out, that doesn't mean that the whole meditation is a waste and you just screwed up. It just means, oops, I'm going to detach from that and come back to here. And then the more you do that, the better you're going to get at it, right? But we realize that this life, this avatar, this experience as Matt Stevens, it is really, it's learned behaviors, learned beliefs, habitual thought processes, all of those things. But all those things can be changed once we become aware of them. And I talk about that a lot, and even when I get off into the conspiracy theory stuff, I say that once we have that realization, once we become aware of things, that's when things get good. Once we realize, well, I'm in the state that I'm in because of behaviors or what's my other one? Beliefs, my bad. Behaviors or beliefs that were programmed into me, and they have become, I've associated with those as who I am. But then when we realize I'm not even that guy, Matt Stevens, I'm not even really him. I am just jacked into him and having an experience currently. So all of this is fluid. All of this can be changed. Once I go into that quantum realm and I realize that this is pure potentiality, that I can change these things or transmute them, as it says in the Kybalion. We can, once we realize that all of these things can be transmuted, because most things are just on a sliding scale. As I've said before, if something is horrific, that's bad. But the good news about that is if something is horrific, there's also something as beautiful. Because it has to have an equal and opposite. The yin and the yang do apply here. But I'm not going to get off the subject there either. But what we are outside of this is well, I want to say it may be completely different than what we are in here. But really, that doesn't even really apply either, because what we are outside of this is pure consciousness, is a pure state of being. It's a pure state of just I am. And that's how we are able to come into this, have this experience as me, Matt Stevens, in this 2025, living in the middle of America, right? That's also how I was able to have that experience in the 15th century being a Chinese clothing maker. I'm just making that up. But you get my point. I'm able to have all these experiences, all of them completely different people, completely different personalities, completely different everything, cultures, you name it. I'm able to have all of these different experiences. But at the end of it all, it's still just my true self outside, looking in, dropping in once in a while, having an experience as, in this particular case, Matt Stevens. But that doesn't mean that's who I truly am. It means who I am in this particular construct, in this particular date and time and place, I suppose. You get my point. Dear loved one, you know what I mean. And I kind of piggyback this off of it's also host the podcast, My Sober Addiction, which is a lot to do with addiction and recovery. But in it, I was talking about how when someone gives up an addiction, like for example, if someone's an alcoholic for many years, that's what they are associated with. Their entire day revolves around their addiction. But then when they do get sober and they move into recovery and sober living and all that, that's when they realize, I'm not that anymore. So now what am I? And that's sometimes a scary prospect, but it's also a scary proposition, I suppose. But anyway, but it's a beautiful opportunity to redefine yourself, to say, well, yeah, I'm not that, but here's what I'm going to be. Here's what my new beliefs, my new thought processes, my new behaviors are going to be. Because obviously we can't have the same behaviors, right? So that I'm kind of piggybacking this off of that. But our true higher self is none of these things. But it is living these experiences, gaining knowledge, gaining wisdom, gaining experience through these lifetimes. So anyway, dear loved ones, yeah, I think it's very interesting. And yes, I do talk a lot about the conspiracy stuff behind all of that. And I do believe that we are living in such a time that we are built for. Because we hear a lot about the resets and all of that. And then the elites of the world talk about the Great Reset and the 2030 and all of these things. And I think that is a little bit of a smokescreen. I'm not saying there's no reset to be had. I believe there's been many resets. And I do believe there is one on the horizon. But I'm not going to believe what they tell us. Because they're always going to tell us what, it's always going to be look over here when this is happening over there. Right? But anyway, I will definitely get into that because I love going down those rabbit holes. But this one I just wanted to talk about how we are not this. This is an experience we are living. And we've lived many of them, many different ones. So that's what I got. Anyway, loved ones, if you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up button. Give me a like. I would so appreciate that. And also, yes, I'm going to solicit comments. No, well, kind of. But anyway, it does make for a great conversation. Because it's like, if you lived out if you believe that you have had other lifetimes, if you have somehow tapped into your higher self and had some downloads of some other experiences that you've had, I mean, that explains a lot about intuition. That explains a lot about What's the other big one? Geez. Deja vu. Thank you. Deja vu. It explains a lot of all of those things. So anyway, loved ones, if you've got any stories you'd like to tell as far as deja vu and any of those things that have, come into your awareness, please share those. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Besides that, that's what I got. I do love you. I do. And I will be back directly.